fundamentally, I think both suffer fundamental problems, internal dynamics that are counterproductive or dysfunctional, and that Fatah in particular long ago lost the ability to bypass, to get beyond. In other words, effectively Fatah does not exist, to my mind, and has not for many years as a single coherent organization. It had coherence to the extent that it ruled, that it held power, and therefore used power in order to circulate patronage within a broad number of people affiliated to the movement and affiliated to the president Arafat. And with the loss of power, with the loss of Arafat as well, with long years of neglect and fragmentation, quite deliberate by Arafat, what was left was a shambles, what was left was fragments, dispersed and scattered, unable to come together on any single issue, agenda or platform, other possibly than the desire to return to power in order to restore access to privileges and to patronage. This is not to say that no one in Fatah doesn't have better ideas than that, but you can't say that Fatah as a whole has a common theme or a common platform. And the fact that Fatah officially is committed to a two-state solution based on an approximation of the 1967 borders, etc., that is true and valid, but it doesn't translate organizationally into a functional political organization that can determine what to do about someone like Hamas, what to do about power, what to do about elections, what to do about any particular thing. There is no effective, coherent decision-making process within Fatah. Hamas has clearly been far better organized, disciplined, and capable in terms of conducting an internal political debate about key issues and taking decisions and then acting upon them. And yet, it too, I think, is stuck in a very severe dilemma or quandary, partly because it, to my mind, certainly, has brought about many of the conditions that the Palestinians suffer today through its transfer of the battle against the Israeli occupation across the Green Line into Israel proper, with targeting civilians, with suicide bombings. It's contributed in a massive way to the unraveling of all that had been achieved by the Palestinian national movement in the previous 30 years. And that's a reality that it hasn't acknowledged, of course, will not acknowledge. It speaks of victory, of expelling the Israelis from Gaza and so on, while overlooking the fact that the Israelis in the meantime have taken over more of the West Bank, have created new fait accompli with the security barrier, effectively cordoned off all of East Jerusalem. And the Palestinians strategically are in a terrible position, and Hamas has contributed to this outcome. Not alone, certainly, but it has done so. And its problem is that it, on the one hand, does, I believe, most of its members and leaders accept that they will become part of a two-state negotiated solution with Israel. That isn't their big dilemma, although there will be a problem of coming to the moment of truth and saying so, and they will have people who reject that from within their ranks. But the bigger dilemma is, can they offer anything to the Palestinians or to themselves that Fatah didn't offer in the past? I mean, fundamentally, we're back to a two-state solution with an approximation of the 1967 borders, some sort of arrangement for refugees in Jerusalem. Hamas can't actually bring about much better than Fatah was trying to bring about. And moreover, when it comes to the means, i.e. do you negotiate with the Israelis directly or indirectly, do you do so through the roadmap or some other framework, the fundamentals aren't really any different. There are issues of security, whether the Palestinians will cease violence or not against Israel, and all these are the same old issues. So Hamas hasn't come up with any real solutions to these fundamental questions, and the only solutions they can push, I think, are going to be the same ones that Fatah was operating with. Whether Hamas can be maybe more effective, establish a deterrence, say that we won't play by the old rules of the game where Israel can do what it wants and we can't. There, I think Hamas has tried to create some sort of margin for maneuver. But ultimately, it's now stuck in a new status quo where it doesn't have really effective levers except to resort to more violence, which I think it recognizes as counterproductive for its purpose. So Hamas, I don't think, has any real prospect in that respect, and I know